It's hump day, and it's October, Wednesday, October 1st. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Heath, busy day for you. You got to put out all the Halloween decorations. It's time.
Hey, it's October 1st. You know, I'm going this year as Liam Cohen because I was trying to put in a new offense last night with my basketball team, and I felt very much like Liam Cohen. They can't throw, they can't catch, nobody goes to the right place. This is a disaster.
I thought you meant you were going to steal signs.
Yeah.
Like take nobody's home signs or out of order signs.
I think the whole steal signs thing is so dumb.
Signs and put it outside the front of your house so nobody comes to your house on Halloween night.
I think it's this whole steal sign thing is so dumb.
Well,
have better signs.
Maybe I can go as Robert Saleh, and you and I can, have one of our throwback fights.
Who looks more like who? Me and Liam Cohen or Adam and Robert Saleh?
Oh, boy.
You and Liam Cohen.
I don't know if Adam shaved his head.
No, I don't think so. Okay, so we got some news updates for you.
Commit to the costume, Adam. Commit to the costume.
I have a costume idea. I proposed it to Dave. He said no, so I'm going to propose it to Jamie for Halloween. It's a Friday. I think we can have fun with it. I'll text it to you, or I'll type it to you in the private chat. You let me know what you think. Anyway,
we by the way, Heath has to do this as well. It requires you coming to Florida. We have our first auction item for next year's Draftathon.
A trip to Florida,
and you two have to sign it.
Oh, okay. I'll be there by. What is it?
Say we'll keep teasing the suspense, but it's an autograph paraphernalia from our show.
All right. Okay, let's get into the show here. Quarterback news. We have a new quarterback in Cleveland. We're going to tell you who to buy low and sell high on. We're going to talk about Chris Godwin. We're going to talk about A.J. Brown. Obviously, I'll bring up Brian Thomas Jr. It has to happen on pretty much every show we do. Derrick Henry will be discussed. Emeka, Egbuka, DK Metcalf. And we will preview Thursday Night Football. And we will redraft round one, which I think is going to be pretty running back heavy. News and notes. Lamar Jackson not expected to play this week. They get Houston, then the Rams, then a bye. I don't think anyone would be surprised to see him out through the bye week. So that would be 2 games. But for now, he's not expected to play this week, Lamar Jackson. Dillon Gabriel is going to start for Cleveland. I already did my preview for that game, and my stat of the game was that out of, 130-ish qualified quarterbacks in college football last year, Dillon Gabriel had the 3rd lowest air yards per target. I don't know if that will be the same here, but he is not a downfield guy. He doesn't have a big arm.
Well, that's going to be a really big change for the Browns.
Is this good or bad for the Browns? It can't be bad, right?
It can't be worse. I mean, it's been awful. So, give them credit for trying something different at this point. I just feel bad for Gabriel. Like he's got to go play the Vikings defense in his first start in Europe. So not even a home crowd to support him here. So it's a little tough to say, hey, I'm starting Jerry Jeudy and the Browns tight ends at this point with any semblance of confidence at this stage, just based on what the Vikings run defense looked like last week. It's Quinshon Judkins or bust.
Go ahead,
Heath.
No, go ahead.
No, you.
The 2 changes I'm going to make to my projections, because Joe Flacco right now is averaging 5.1 yards per pass attempt. Maybe Dillon Gabriel will be worse than that, but you can't be that much worse. I think the Browns, they have a 34% rush rate so far this year. It might be 54% in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because Joe Flacco teams just throw a bunch. And then the other thing is he's probably not going to throw an interception on 4% of his passes.
Okay.
Flacco did, right?
Yeah.
Right. He last year in college, 8.6 yards per attempt on an 8 out of 6.7 yards. So that's to Adam's point about throwing short. Here's his rates to positions. Wide receivers, 57% of his targets. Running backs, 14.3%. Heath, you're going to love this. Tight end target rate, 23.7%. So maybe Harold Fannin ain't dead yet.
It just depends on whether, first off, most of the season, it's just been a dysfunctional offense. Last week, Harold Fannin should have had his breakout game and just didn't play very well. But he has the 8th most expected fantasy points. So if you're in expected fantasy points league, you should definitely start Harold Fannin.
That's in the future. All right, Brock Purdy not expected to play, although he hasn't ruled it out yet. He's trying to get out there. He's got the Thursday game at the Rams, but right now we're not expecting Brock Purdy due to the toe injury. At least he's speaking optimistically. Maybe he'll be back next week. Carolina head coach Dave Canales talked about the benefits of splitting the backfield work, keeping those guys fresh. So, I mentioned, I think yesterday, even in the first half of the game, it was a blowout. The first half of the game, they were within one carry of each other, Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. Bucky Irving, this is the big one here. He's getting, I didn't even know what to do. He's getting more medical opinions on his foot and ankle, but also hasn't been ruled out for this week. I don't think we like second opinions, but now if we're going to talk about the waiver wire and Sean Tucker and Rashad White not really available, but Sean Tucker is, I was kind of in the 8 to 12% range on my Tucker bids. He's 14% roster. Jamie, what do you think now based on this Bucky Irving news?
I would guess, just from looking at some of the Twitter doctor reports, that it could be anything from low ankle sprain to turf toe to, something that is not necessarily season long, but could be pain tolerance related. But again, that's just, reading speculation stuff. But I think at this point, you should be picking up Sean Tucker, and you should definitely be picking up Rashad White, because if it is something serious, then, you want to have the opportunity to have that player on your team. I was with you. That's about what I spent on Sean Tucker. I got him in a few leagues. A few leagues where waivers ran, not fab, got him as well. So I think if you're like, an easy pivot for me is going to be, and, do this in the leagues we're in together if you want to, take advantage of it or not. But like Isaiah Davis, just an easy guy to go pick up if you drop Sean Tucker. He's available everywhere. And now the handcuff to Breece Hall. So like there's easy ways to move off this. If we find out there's news about Trey Benson today, Michael Carter's available in every league, and still probably, I don't know what DeMarcado's percentage is. That's an easy pivot play as well. So, you can still get some quality player. In the case of Tampa Bay's backfield, I think we kind of illustrated it enough on Tuesday that White is my preference just because it was working the passing game, but Tucker can be a flex, just knowing how much they used him last year in that one game when Rashad White was out.
Just looking at a few FFT open leagues, the Schneider division, Darius Slayton went for 28. This is out of an original $100 budget. Sean Tucker went for 7. In the Dave division, Malik Washington went for 26. Interesting. Slayton went for 10, and Tucker went for 4 to Dave. Nice job.
Thanks.
And I'll just do one more in the Azer division. Let's see who got. I got Sean Tucker for 11. And
you spent almost 3 times as much as I did.
I did. How about that? And I got Michael Carter for 4. I didn't necessarily want both of them, but that's kind of what happens with Fab sometimes.
Well, congratulations.
Okay, so that's running back. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings.
You feel like that's going to be $7 well spent?
I think it was $15.
Oh, I'm sorry, $15. I thought. I got Dave's 4 and yours.
Yeah, 11. No, yeah, 14 or 15, whatever it was.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, except in that particular league, I'm a little more aggressive because the playoffs end 2 or 3 weeks earlier. You don't need Fab once you get to the next round if you win your division, so you don't need it for as many weeks. Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings were listed as DNPs. Cedric Tillman is on IR, so he's out at least 4 weeks. Tyreek Hill's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, says Tyreek Hill will play next season, perhaps at the beginning of the season. We shall see. Tight end news. Tight end Gunnar Helm for the Titans is expected to get more opportunities. So if you were thinking about streaming Chigo Okonkwo, you might want to reconsider. And Colton Miller, left tackle for the Raiders, he is on IR. And Packers defensive lineman Devontae Wyatt is week to week. The Packers DST last week was one of the biggest busts. Man, they were horrible. They gave up 40 points. First time they gave up more than 13, I think, all year. All right, Sunday, we have another game in Europe. So we have another live stream from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., which was really successful this past weekend. We had a lot of people there, so join us. I know it's early, but 8:30 to 9:30 a.m., right up until kickoff. And then again from noon to 1. These live streams are on youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday. We'll see you there.
Who hated that more, the people on the West Coast or Heath having to do FFT Express earlier than normal?
The only thing that I was irritated about doing FFT Express earlier than usual was I told Adam, we're not going to know if Jaylen Warren's playing or not. Oh, they said he's going to play. And then Jaylen Warren didn't play, and we didn't talk about it.
Well, I mean, I can say what actually happened is that we did talk about it right at the top of the show. Oh, he's going to play. Jaylen Warren's going to play, start him, whatever. And then right before we went on the air for, not right before, but before we went on the air for the 8:30 stream, we found out he was inactive. And I was like, oh, I can't publish this. What if this is the only thing that people hear? So Thomas edited all the Warren stuff out. So he saved our bacon big time.
Good job, Thomas. Bad job, Adam. It was the most curse words I've ever received via text message before 8:30 a.m.
Really?
From a league, yeah, on a Sunday.
All right, buy lows. So you're just going to tell us kind of how you feel about these guys and what you'd be willing to give up. Jamie's going to start with Ja'Marr Chase, who has had only one good game so far, and Tetairoa McMillan, who has had only, I guess, one good game so far. So Chase and McMillan. Go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I think obviously everybody's frustrated with Ja'Marr Chase that drafted him, knowing that Joe Burrow is going to be out for the majority of the season, and he's been a disappointment, like you said, in all but one game. Certainly the last two games without Burrow starting, but this is a big-time bounce-back opportunity for him against Detroit. Clearly, this is the easiest defense so far that Jake Browning has faced, and I think we will get a good Ja'Marr Chase performance. You're not going to get peak Ja'Marr Chase, so understand that if you're buying him, but I think that's the selling point in trying to get him, because the manager that has him understands that as well. And so if you can, let's say, turn George Pickens and maybe something else, because I don't know if George Pickens by himself gets it done, but the idea of somebody who's playing at a very high level that somebody else may have had some interest in, and you mentioned it, we're going to redraft round one. There's a lot of running backs you could probably throw at the Ja'Marr Chase manager as well that they may have missed out on because of what they took in round one and maybe in round two. So it probably needs to be a package of players to get Ja'Marr Chase. But if he starts to look like himself as the schedule lightens up a little bit, it's not going to be easy. And obviously the quarterback situation is not getting any better until the end of the year. But still, you want to try to acquire him if you can, especially if you need some wide receiver help, knowing what that position looks like right now.
So you wouldn't give up George Pickens just straight up for Chase? Who would you rather have rest of the season?
Oh, I'd rather have Chase rest of the season.
So you would do that in theory. Okay.
And in the case of McMillan, look, it's been frustrating. Obviously, he has not. He's been on the cusp of like some big games. He's been on the cusp of, hey, this breakout is coming or this performance is going to happen. We've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. The schedule right now is great for him the next, several games. So there's a chance for it to happen. And again, if there's a frustrated McMillan fantasy manager, take advantage of that as well.
He's got the fourth easiest schedule rest of season, third easiest in the next 4 weeks. Love the McMillan call. Love it.
Yeah, and he's gotten 8 or more targets in every game, so that should give you a floor. I mean, I guess it hasn't really given you that much of a floor so far, but he's Bryce Young. Look, this team has no big plays. I mean, they just never make big plays, but Bryce Young, he's 0 for 4 on pass attempts of 30 or more air yards. One of them was a throwaway. The other 3 were to McMillan. So if they are going to make big plays, it's going to be through him. We'll get some more buy lows in a minute, but football fans, bring that playoff energy to your pro football bets all season long. This Pro Football Boost Pack gives you 3 ways to boost your payout on a winning bet. Just log in to your BetMGM account to receive your Boost Pack and then place any pro football bet and apply one of the tokens. Make sure to bet up to the minimum stake, odds, and legs specified on the token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. From opening kickoffs to game-winning drives, this Pro Football Boost Pack is your ticket to unforgettable moments this season. Don't wait on the sidelines. Join the action with BetMGM. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Okay, Heath, Chris Godwin is a buy low for you. He was only started in 7% of leagues, which was a good call. 3 catches for 26 yards, but he did have 10 targets against Philadelphia. Godwin and Jaylen Waddle for you.
Yeah, 146 air yards in his debut for Chris Godwin. Very happy with how involved he was. We talk about it sometimes when we have guys coming back that we don't want to start them that first week back. We call it the shake the rust off game. Chris Godwin had a little bit of rust last week. Hopefully he got it all shaken off, but it may take another week. I still think that there's a very good chance that when Mike Evans is back, it's going to be a condensed passing offense. I think Godwin could still lead this team in targets and maybe be the most reliable in full PPR. He got back a little earlier than we expected. He was more involved in the first game back. I would be looking to trade running backs that people are excited about that we're not necessarily sure are going to be full-time running backs rest of season. I think like maybe you can see what type of wide receiver you have to put with Bashal Tootin, who people refuse to give up on. I would say Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, see if you could give him up for Chris Godwin. I don't really want to give Travion Henderson up, but that's somebody that's kind of in the same range.
Couple things on Godwin. So really, I think the Bucs in general, right? They are typically a pretty run-heavy team. They were chasing points against the Eagles. Godwin had a 29% slot rate last week. That's not good for him, right? I mean, the 1 year that he had recently where he was really bad, a couple of years removed from the ACL, he had a pretty low slot rate. We want him to be closer to 60. Typically, I mean, that's just kind of been the case. And then Evans is coming back. I assume when Evans comes back, Godwin will pop back into the slot, which is good. But Evans is going to be back, so which is bad. So I just don't know how to approach, because Dave's going to talk about Emeka as a sell high. I don't know what this receiving core looks like. And if we're buying low on Godwin, is that going to be just kind of a fooled you once Evan comes back? The broader question is, how do you think of the Bucs wide receivers going forward? Heath, I'll let you start.
I think you can't have anyone at the top of the Bucs wide receivers right now except for Emeka Egbuka based on what he's done. But he's played a game without either one of these guys, and 2 games without Godwin, and 1 game with a partial Godwin, and he's at 7.5 targets per game. I think there's a chance in full PPR Godwin's the best one rest of season. I'm afraid Evans will be the worst rest of season.
Okay.
We also don't know when Evans is coming back, and what we've seen so far, whether that continues or not, because of how well Egbuka and or Godwin are playing by the time Evans is back. He has seen everybody's best corner.
Who has seen? Oh,
Evans.
Yeah.
And so is that still the way you play Tampa? Is take Mike Evans away, who will be a gimpy Mike Evans at first, or a rusty Mike Evans at first. I'll phrase it that way: rusty Mike Evans at first, coming back from an injury. And look, you say they're a run heavy team. They may not have the running back. We don't know.
That's true. Although he's actually been one of the worst rushers in football so far in terms of metrics, because I was looking at Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's been horrible, right? I mean, 3.3 yards per carry, I think. His longest run is 16 yards. Bucky Irving's been basically just as bad as a rusher. It's kind of weird.
And they're really, I think run heavy is probably the wrong word to use. They're a neutral team.
I mean, they weren't going into, are they? I thought they were 20.
For the year, they're 16th in rush rate. Okay,
I think going into the game, they were in the 20s in pass rate, but okay. So fair enough. Jaylen Waddle, Tyreek Hill was giving us about, I think 2 straight games, about 16 points PPR. He was kind of on his way to something like that. Who knows? What do you think about Waddle? I'll give you that number, 16 points per game. You think Waddle gets there rest of season?
Well, he's had 12 games since the start of 2023 where he's had at least 7 targets, and he's averaged 17 fantasy points per game in those 12 games. I don't think that 16 is quite a fair expectation. Maybe 15 would be a better one, but 16, 17 is definitely possible. I would rather have Jaylen Waddle than any Bucs wide receiver rest of season.
Okay.
Do you think you could buy him low though now?
I think that they're what he's done so far this year and what he didn't do in the game after Tyreek Hill left. You're probably not going to be able to buy low on Jaylen Waddle in one of our leagues. Maybe, but probably not. But I think in a lot of leagues, yes. A guy that's done so little is going to be, and had some disappointments in the last year.
Do you view him as a top 24 receiver rest of season?
Yes, I think he's closer to top 18 than top 24.
Yeah, so I was actually going to start narrowing it down, and it was going to actually ask you.
I think 18. I'd say he's top 18, but he's towards the bottom of that.
I've got him as receiver 20 rest of season, and I feel like people understand that without Tyreek Hill there, he's got a great opportunity to haul in a bunch of targets. I think the offense is a lot different than where it was last year. I don't think they're going to completely revert back to what they did in 2024. And his track record has always been kind of crummy when everybody's healthy, but when somebody's missing, he steps up. The flip side is that everybody has a strong opinion on Jaylen Waddle not being able to stay healthy, and that's going to live in people's minds as they move forward with him. So he's not somebody that I think you should give up a lot for in trade, but still a decent amount. But where is he on the trade chart? He's right in the same range for me. A little bit behind Michael Pittman. He's definitely behind Xavier Worthy, Quentin Johnston. He's ahead of McLaurin. If you can't wait for Terry McLaurin, you're not sure what's going on with McLaurin. Maybe you can give McLaurin and a little bit more to get Jaylen Waddle.
So you have Egbuka as a sell high.
I do.
Would you rather have Waddle or Egbuka?
I think I can get a lot more for Egbuka right now.
But would you rather have Egbuka or Waddle?
I'd still rather have Egbuka, but it's kind of close.
I think you can get Waddle plus for Egbuka, and I would love that deal.
Yes, that I would agree with.
Waddle has Tyreek going into week 4, averaging 7.7 targets per game. Waddle in his career, 18 games with at least 8 targets. In those 18 games, he's averaging, 26 games in his career with 8+ targets, if I have it correctly. He's averaging 18.9 PPR points per game when he gets 8+ targets.
All right, I got to take a break, guys. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about some more buy lows, the sell highs. Is Saquon Barkley still a first-round pick if we were drafting today? We'll tell you a little bit. We'll be right back.
Saturday kicks off at noon, and it's big time. First, Air Force and Navy face off in Annapolis. Then it's big time at the Rose Bowl when UCLA hosts Penn State.
Okay, Dave, you wanted to talk a little bit more about Ja'Marr Chase, who Jamie listed as a buy low.
I agree that he's a good buy low. I just wouldn't break the bank and overpay for a guy who I've got it right in front of me. 10 career games where he's played at least 28 snaps with Jake Browning. 2 big games, 2 Ja'Marr Chase style fantasy games, and 8 games with 12.1 or fewer PPR points. I don't think we can view him as the type of studly receiver. I mean, I think everybody knows that, but I'm not even sure if we can or should view him as like a low-end wide receiver 1 rest of season. We need to see some significant change in Cincinnati before we do that. Browning ain't it. The offensive line's in trouble. Their defense is really bad, which means that they're going to be in a lot of games where opposing defenses are going to predictably play defense to cover Ja'Marr Chase because they know that the Bengals are going to be passing a ton against them. And maybe that was the case beforehand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot easier. Hold on. It's a lot easier now because it's Jake Browning behind a worse offensive line that he was playing with in 2023. So I don't mind going after Ja'Marr Chase. I'd have to double check what I've got the schedule projected as far as ranking rest of season in the next 4 weeks, but I don't think it's pretty good. They do play in the AFC North. There used to be some really good defenses in there. Now I think there's only 2. I would be a little, I would caution people, don't spend too much for the name because I don't think the numbers are going to match what we were expecting, or even like 60% of what we were expecting.
I will just say, like, the next 2 weeks are probably not good, but then Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, Steelers, Patriots, Ravens twice, Dolphins. There's a lot of good matchups for Ja'Marr Chase.
Well, they got Detroit.
I think this week could actually be really good for him.
Yeah, Detroit's got 2 defensive backs who are injured, but cornerbacks, right? I mean, Arnold and Reed.
Right.
They might be down both of their starting corners for this game. Now, the pass rush could be an issue. That's going to be an issue most weeks. It's just the question is, Jake Browning the competent quarterback we saw 2 years ago, or is he one of the worst quarterbacks in football? He's played Minnesota and Denver so far.
I think they'll make a change if he continues to be this bad.
I would agree. This is a big week for them. Home game. In again, a team that they're supposed to lose to, but the secondary issues there. I don't think they win the game, but I think if they look better offensively, then you got to feel better about where the receiving core, the passing game is. If Browning comes out of this, a little bit better. If they continue to look dysfunctional and Chase continues to bark at Zach Taylor, then they may go shopping, and the Giants may be the first team they call.
Yeah, someone else is going to be their quarterback. Going to be Jameis or Winston or Jameis or Wilson or Cousins. I don't know. I hope it is. I hope we get a change because they got to save their season. He's got to save his job. Dave's buy lows. He's got 4 of them. CeeDee Lamb, who averaged over 100 yards per game in his 2 healthy games, and Rashee Rice.
Those 2 are kind of obvious. I don't think we have to dig into them.
All right, so then A.J. Brown, I want to believe in this. He's got 8 or more targets in 3 straight games, and he's only turned one of those games into anything. But they have the fewest pass attempts in football. Again, is that going to change? I don't know. The only game that he's been good, and the only game that Devontae Smith really has been good, is the one game where they were chasing points. and they're obviously an amazing team. So what are you thinking about A.J. Brown?
It's the exact same thing as Jamar Chase. You don't want to overpay for A.J. Brown, but I can't help but think that eventually the Eagles are going to let Jalen Hurts throw it a little bit more. It's been an inefficient start rushing-wise for Saquon Barkley and the offensive line. Lane Johnson's now banged up. I don't think that that's good for anything in Philadelphia, whether it's rushing or passing, but we did see this Eagles team throw well 2 weeks ago without Lane Johnson on the field. So I think that they can operate just fine passing down the way. And we know that A.J. Brown wants the ball, and he's been commanding good target volume. He's usually been very efficient, even on 7 or 8 targets per game. I think people who are frustrated with A.J. Brown in their fantasy leagues are easy marks to go and get.
Early game of the week, yeah!
You just decided this.
Eagles and the Broncos. Gonna be a good one in Philly. And it's the game of the week. Hey!
Now, let me add one last thing.
Okay.
You might want to wait a week to acquire A.J. Brown. Like after everything I said, because this is Denver, and they do have good corners, and Patrick Surtain is starting to play better than he did earlier in the year.
I just hate their offense.
I get it, but I love the talent of their players, and I think that they're going to have to start throwing a little more.
Jalen Hurts has the second best off-target throw rate.
I know.
And he's averaging a career worst 6 yards per attempt, career low intended air yards per attempt, career low yak per completion. Like the design's awful.
Yeah. It might be. Yeah, it's frustrating. I've kind of he's going to sink some of my teams, A.J. Brown. But if he keeps getting 8 to 10 targets.
I don't think he will.
You don't think he'll sink my teams? You don't think
I don't think he'll sink your. I think other reasons will sink your teams. But for people who have A.J. Brown, I think they ride it out.
Obviously, football is unpredictable. So I had a thought, my podcast league, I lost James Conner and Tyreek Hill in consecutive weeks and hanging on by a thread there. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you just take these leaps of faith and you try to get Brian Thomas Jr., you try to get A.J. Brown, you try to get Ladd McConkey, you try to get Derrick Henry, all these players who maybe we have good reasons to doubt them, but also, they're so established and they're so good. McConkey isn't, but maybe you just take, or neither is Thomas, I guess. But you know what I'm trying to say. Maybe you just go for it. If you're looking at your team, it's like, I can't win with this lineup anymore.
Let me ask you this question, because you have a lot of, and kudos to you, of Quentin Johnston. Are you turning Quentin Johnston at this point into any of those guys you just mentioned?
I would. Okay. Henry, I actually offered him for Derrick Henry and I got rejected.
Yes, you should.
I would not trade him for McConkey. I don't think that makes sense.
No.
And I don't think I'd trade him for Brian Thomas Jr.
No. Would you trade him for
A.J. Brown,
Jamar Chase, or A.J. Brown?
Chase for sure. A.J. Brown, I don't know. I think no. You just have so many more pass attempts. For
and this, I'm not criticizing you, but that's the type of player that you're supposed to turn into those guys, right? The guys that come out of nowhere that you drafted with minimal capital and may have staying power. I mean, Quentin Johnston was awesome. May have staying power, but if McConkey starts to get going, Hampton continues to do this. There are a lot of ways that this could fall apart for Quentin Johnston, and A.J. Brown could still be, like you said, take the leap of faith. Can become A.J. Brown. Can Derrick Henry turn things around? All those things that all the players you just listed. So that's the perfect example of what you're trying to accomplish in getting these stars. So again, and it's not just Quentin Johnston. It's Egbuka. It's Pickens. It's anybody that you could see potentially falling apart because other things coming back or happening to those players, Egbuka with Evans and Godwin and obviously Pickens with CeeDee Lamb. So if you're not going to do it with that type of player, then you're probably not going to risk it for other players as well, because you have to give something in return. It's easy for us to say, hey, go trade for Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown. You got to give something, and you're saying in your podcast, you're hanging by a thread. Well, you don't have a lot of obviously assets to give if you're not going to give your best asset to acquire somebody that maybe long-term is better.
No, right. So I think that's where you draw the difference. Obviously, I could be wrong about this, but I see Jamar Chase as a better asset than A.J. Brown and Brian Thomas Jr. at this point. So I would try to turn Quentin Johnston into Jamar Chase, but I wouldn't do it for the other guys because I need Quentin Johnston.
Let me ask you a question, and I know the other side of it is a zero, but do you have any regret after 1 week of trading CeeDee Lamb for Brian Thomas Jr.?
Should have traded him for Quentin Johnston.
And I would trade Quentin Johnson for CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
If I could.
Everybody would.
Yeah, because we're a week closer to Lamb returning. He has been put on IR. I'm looking at the most traded list. Like, who would I trade for Jamar Chase or for AJ? Who would I trade for AJ Brown? Because Chase, I think people will be easier to buy into. Would you trade Zay Flowers for AJ Brown?
In a minute.
Yes. Well, what do you mean? Meaning we're getting AJ Brown?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I crazy to think Cooper Rush is actually going to be good for him?
I think they
he will
change the offense and just shorten routes a lot more. So I think volume will still be there for Zay Flowers. I don't know how many breakaway plays he'll have.
Would you trade Ken Walker for AJ Brown?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Ken Walker's probably a sell high too.
If you can.
Right. We haven't gotten any sell highs, so let's get to that. Derrick Henry was the last guy on your buy low list.
I think the Ravens also try and go back to him a little bit more. They've gotten away from him for obvious reasons the last 2 games, but I feel like they got away from him sooner than they needed to in their games. He's got to be the catalyst of their offense now. Their offensive line, they're missing their left tackle, but the rest of that line, I think, is still in decent enough shape. And so they can try and slow down games, try not to have Cooper Rush throw it 35 times, and lean into Derrick Henry as the genesis of their offense, or whatever fancy term you want to use. And so people are frustrated with Derrick Henry. I've got him on a team in a league that I'm 2-2 in. There's no way I'm giving him up for Quentin Johnston at this point. I'd rather ride it out with Derrick Henry.
I would almost put him on a sell high list more so than a buy low list, because I think his name still carries weight. And so if you can turn him into AJ Brown or Jamar Chase or one of those guys.
Oh, you trade
straight up
Henry for AJ Brown.
If I needed receiver help, so I lost neighbors, or Derrick Henry might be toast at this point. Like,
whoa,
the way the offense is operating and the way that the games are going to go for them. Like, if Lamar Jackson's out for 3 weeks, so let's just say it's 2 weeks by and another week, like that could be awful for him.
There's still a whole half a season left after that, and
I agree.
Probably underestimating him because he still has, which you've seen pretty much every game, breakaway run potential, but he has 3 straight games with 12 or fewer carries. I feel like they're going to fix that.
That's the problem.
But what's the problem? The game.
Okay, so the Texans game clearly is going to be not a game where the Texans blow them out,
right?
Unless they just take advantage of that paper defense that's facing them. But hard to expect that with that offense. But it just doesn't feel like they're going to have a lot of favorable game scripts, and we've seen this from Derrick Henry, end of his Titans tenure. Few games last year, and certainly now this year. When they are behind, he is essentially irrelevant. Now, granted, last week's game, he wasn't terrible because he had the one run.
I mean, he was pretty bad. I mean, only had
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, excuse me.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. No, even then he scored 10. He scored 10.7 or fewer PPR fantasy points with a touchdown that week 2 weeks ago. In 3 straight games, he's been below 11 PPR fantasy points. So I get it. Last year, 6 losses. Derrick Henry averaged 13.5 PPR fantasy points per game. Not good. He averaged 15.
You could still get a king's ransom for him.
Right. I don't disagree about the name value or what you can get in return for him. I would want more than just AJ Brown in exchange.
All right, I'm going to do real quick, buy low or heck no. Brian Thomas Jr.
How low are we buying?
Jeez, I don't even know. Egbuka.
Oh my gosh, I'd rather have Egbuka. What?
Jordan Mason.
I don't have BTJ as a top 24 receiver.
Just throwing out names. Jordan Mason.
I would trade Jordan Mason to get Brian Thomas Jr.
I think I'd rather have Mason.
Woody Marks.
There you go.
I'd trade Woody Marks to get Brian Thomas Jr.
Buy low or heck no. And I just my personal opinion, watching his routes, I think he looks much, much better than he did 2 weeks ago. Brock Bowers is who I'm saying. I think looked much better, had a 30% target per route run rate, 30% target share in week 4.
Yep.
Brock Bowers. Buy low or heck no?
Definite buy low if you can.
Heath is muted. I wasn't ignoring.
I can't buy low on Brock Bowers when he's already on all my teams.
Right. But if you were to get an offer of Quentin Johnston for Brock Bowers, how quickly are you hitting reject?
I'd probably just leave it sitting there to punish them for sending me such a terrible offer.
I love that. Okay.
I will say though, the only concern I have with Bowers, and he's definitely buy low candidate if you can get him cheap enough, but did what we see last week, forget about the interceptions, tell the Raiders how they're going to operate moving forward. 21 pass attempts for Geno Smith, and Ashton Genty finally looked like the guy that they drafted. And now they're down their left tackle.
If they play the Bears every week. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Well, you say they play the Bears every week, but they held the Bears offense in check, which the previous two teams had not been able to do.
To be fair, one of them was Dallas.
Right. Okay. So I think we're encouraged by Brock Bowers, right? Compared to where we were a couple weeks ago.
Health-wise, yes, but to Jamie's point, the Raiders have Indy, then Tennessee, and then Kansas City. Of those 3 games, which ones do you see a game script where Geno's going to have to throw the ball 30-plus times?
Indy and Kansas City.
Most definitely Kansas City. I think Indy, maybe. I think the better that Ashton Genty does, and this is why I didn't want to take Brock Bowers in early round 2. The better Ashton Genty does, the more opportunities he's going to get, the fewer passes that Geno Smith is going to try. It also would help if Geno would stop throwing interceptions, please.
Does he get benched?
I think if he keeps throwing interceptions, he does get benched, but that's obvious.
Like those 2 picks that he threw were so bad.
My God. Yes. Now, Pete Carroll's saying no, not right now. But if he keeps making, low bottom feeder QB mistakes like that, then you're going to see Kenny Pickett play.
And now Colton Miller's out. I mean, look, could be trouble for him when he's fresh.
So are we not buying low on Brock Bowers?
No, you should absolutely buy low on Brock Bowers because of what his potential still is, clearly, but like, again, if somebody is, so you're taking, I'm trying to think of a tight end that's like Juwan Johnson and a player to get Brock Bowers.
Well, how about this, Jamie? If you offered Derrick Henry to Heath for Brock Bowers, who says no?
Heath does.
Yeah.
Heath, do you say no?
Yep.
You'd rather have Bowers than Henry. Interesting.
Okay, let's take a break and do some sell highs when we come back.
They want to take this place from us. My family is in danger. My wife is lost to me, and I don't have time.
1923, new season now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Now we're going to talk about some sell highs now. And Dave, you've got Emeka, Egbuka, and Travis Etienne.
We touched on this with the Bucs wide receivers already. When Mike Evans comes back, what's that going to look like? What does that mean for Emeka, Egbuka, who's been playing great? The highlight reel catches are amazing, and he is going to be the best wide receiver in Tampa rest of season. But I feel like you could get that quote-unquote king's ransom for him in trade because people are desperate for wide receiver help right now. So if you're really good at wide receiver, assuming that Emeka, Egbuka is not going to get double-digit targets every single week, and we're assuming that Godwin and Evans, when they come back, they stay on the field, then there's definitely a downswing coming for Emeka, Egbuka. For what it's worth, 2 things. One, Godwin had a high separation score from fantasy points data. And number 2, in the second half last week, he actually looked pretty good. Like he was running. He didn't look good in the first half. I was watching him and I was going, he looks like a tight end. But in the second half, Godwin started to get going. He was indeed separating, as the data suggests. And he could end up being, I don't think 10 targets per game when Evans comes back, but 6 or 7. And I'm not making the joke. I'm literally suggesting he averages around 6 or 7 targets per game. And with Evans averaging 5 to 6, what's left for Emeka, Egbuka?
No, I think, and listen, he's made that play every week, but he's kind of been one play away from a bad fantasy day in 3 of his 4 games for Egbuka. And last week's was like, holy cow, was that just a wish cast throw from Baker Mayfield, and it happened to go between 4 arms, and then there was nobody to stop Emeka, Egbuka.
Yeah.
Maybe he keeps doing that every week.
77-yard touchdown for Egbuka last week. Travis Etienne.
I'm just going to keep saying his name every time he has a big game. He's doing great. This isn't to say he stinks. This isn't to say he's about to fall off, but we know that Bashal Tutin is there. We think Bashal Tutin will eventually have a larger role in that offense. And we know the history of Travis Etienne as well. So still a number 2 fantasy running back, but not somebody that I would say is going to finish the year top 12 unless there are a lot of injuries at the position. And he's
Etienne or Henry?
I'd rather have Henry.
I'll take Etienne.
Wow. Okay. Etienne's schedule is about.
Is Lamar out for the year?
Has
Right.
Lamar missed the first month?
Well, he kind of a little. I mean, we don't know how long he was.
He's the
playing
number
hurt
one
for.
quarterback in fantasy, isn't he?
Yeah. All right. Dallas Goedert is a sell high for Heath, and so is DK Metcalf.
So I'll just say it. I didn't have the guts to put him on the list, but I'll go ahead and put it on recording so everybody can play it back. If you could get the moon, I wonder if Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you were going to say
The concerns that we had before the season are no less existent. The 49ers are obviously cursed, but that's not really even what I'm saying. Their run game is terrible.
Yeah.
They cannot run the football. Christian McCaffrey's got 69 carries for 200 yards.
Yep.
No touchdowns rushing, but he has more targets than all but 5 wide receivers. So it doesn't matter at all.
May I make him an offer?
Is he going to have a 30% target share in the second half of the season when George Kittle's there and maybe they have a better number 1 wide receiver than Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah, I've had
They'll run the ball better when Kittle's
thought. Yeah, they might run the ball better. Yeah, I've had the same thought, but again, it's King's ransom. And for me in that podcast league team, I have McCaffrey, and I need a lot of help. So I might try to turn him into two startable must start players who are.
And when we say two startable players, I'm not talking about 2 guys who are RB20 and wide receiver 20.
No.
Like I'd be aiming for RB12 and wide receiver 12.
Right.
So let me give you an offer, and this comes out to fair and full PPR on the trade chart. Saquon Barkley and Jaylen Waddle.
You have to take that if you're.
You do.
Yep.
No question. All right, you know what? I'm gonna try to make a trade offer right now, and it's gonna involve Jaylen Waddle. Okay.
How about Jackson Smith and
let's
Jigba?
repeat history. You've traded me Christian McCaffrey in a pinch before.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've got a couple extra players. You should send me an offer in the podcast league.
Do you want one more trade offer, or do we need to move on?
Move on. Heath, finish up with your sell highs.
So I think you could put Dallas Goedert and Dalton Kincaid in the same tight end bucket of guys that have. Dallas Goedert has 3 touchdowns in 3 games. Last year he had 2 in 10. The year before he had 3 in 14. The year before he had 3 in 12. He's never had more than 5 touchdowns in a game. He's averaging 4 targets per game. The pass offense is terrible, and we all think A.J. Brown's going to get better. Any starting tight end I would take over Dallas Goedert. And Dalton Kincaid's pretty much the same thing. I think one thing that got lost in Dalton Kincaid's touchdown last week, which was great, is he played a season low 37% of the snaps. Jackson Hawes is playing more than him. He's just been a touchdown scorer.
Yeah. Okay.
Tight end that can carry you. Like if one of those guys happens to do that all year, which sometimes guys do. Jared Cook did it a couple times, but I don't want to rely on that versus targets for my fantasy starter. And then who was the other real name that I gave you?
Metcalf.
He had a great game. He looked like DK Metcalf on one play. I don't think he's a top 24 wide receiver. See if somebody does after that game.
Okay. Jamie, you've got Jordan Addison, who had the 81-yard catch, whatever it was, 80-plus yard catch, and George Pickens.
Pickens is obviously somebody you can still get something pretty solid for, I think, at this point, depending on how long anybody thinks CeeDee Lamb's going to be out, coming off that game that he just had. We'll see how he does this week against the Jets, if he's going to get Sauce Gardner. And, I'm not sitting him by any stretch, given the team's on a bye and what he just did from a target perspective. But clearly he will not get this much attention when Lamb is healthy. The plus is that Dak Prescott is on pace for 700-plus attempts. And so there's going to be a lot of volume to go around here for Pickens. So that's a positive. But again, this may be somebody you can get someone significant for, or him and somebody else to get a Jamar Chase. If you want to go maybe straight up for A.J. Brown, I think that might happen. Brian Thomas Jr., those type of players. If you believe in them, you could probably make that happen. In the case of Jordan Addison, not a lot of targets, big play. I'm concerned what will happen to this passing game for all these guys when McCarthy's back, based on what McCarthy looked like and how the offense was operating. And so Addison, touchdown potential last year was there. Touchdown potential, obviously, in his first game. Still crowded receiving core and questions about the quarterback moving forward. So, plus they have their bye still next week So trade for him now, and you may not need to worry about playing him against Cleveland, tough matchup, and then not have him next week too.
So with Pickens, when Lamb gets back, Pickens is a top blank wide receiver for you.
I still think he's a top 24 receiver. I mean, again, just based on what he's capable of doing, but can you turn that into a top 10 receiver?
Receivers suck so bad right now. Would you rather have Waddle or Pickens?
Waddle.
I think Waddle makes more sense.
Cortland Sutton, who, by the way, has about a 20% target share. Not as good as we want. 27 targets.
It's a lot better than George Pickens when CeeDee Lamb's been healthy.
Well, there's only been 2 games. That's true. There's only been 2 games. He had 4 targets at Philly. He had 9 targets against the Giants. That was an overtime game, though. You're right. So Pickens or Sutton?
Sutton.
Okay. Pickens or Jordan Mason?
Mason.
Pickens.
I'm just probably not making that trade. I think I'm still going to be lower on Pickens once Lamb's back.
Pickens. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Pickens or Ken Walker?
Pickens.
Walker.
Here's a fun one. How about turning Pickens into George Kittle? Would you do that?
Yes.
I would love to do that.
Okay. All right. And I'm real quick. Sell high or no thanks, guy? Justin Jefferson, who has a career low 23.3% target per out run rate.
I think it's similar to McCaffrey. Like if you get a king's ransom for him, you should take it.
Ashton Genty, who's had 1 good game and it was against the Chicago Bears.
No thanks, guy.
Keep it.
If you can get a ton, then do it. Otherwise, don't.
I just think it's bad.
It's the same answer for everybody.
I think it's bad process, and it might work out. Like Genty might suck the rest of the year, but I think it's bad process when we have a guy who we thought was a generational talent at running back who struggled for 2 weeks and then showed the talent we thought he had to trade him off of that.
Fair. Jordan Love coming off the Dallas bump.
And going into a bye week, you're not going to get
he's going to a bye week, but then he has Cincinnati, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Carolina. I could see them not having to throw a lot in the next month. And that's kind of their MO.
I'm not giving up much of anything. Like I don't even in full PPR, I don't know if I would even give up Godwin straight up for Jamal.
I don't think you can sell high on a low end QB1 on his bye week.
Okay. All right, let's redraft round 1. Oh,
Yes.
Jamie just got, I just got a trade offer in my inbox, but it's a team that I'm not actually on. It's Jamie's team. I'm just in the league. It's the draft league. I'm not going to say who sent it, but to me, you just got one of the worst trade offers. This is so bad. Tony Pollard and Jamar Chase for your CeeDee Lamb and Josh Jacobs.
That's pretty bad.
That's a really bad trade. Wow. I will go in and reject it for you. Okay. What do you guys want to do? You want to snake draft it here? You want to give me your top 12? How do you want to handle this?
I think we snake draft it, right?
Let's snake draft it. You want me to be on it? You guys can do it. I don't mind. All right, Jamie. Let's go Jamie Heath Dave. 101.
I'll take Puka Nacua, 101. PPR?
Oh, okay. I changed your mind because 2 days ago you were Bijan. And I said Puka. Yes, Puka is 101. Puka is averaging 27.4 points per game with 1 touchdown so far. Puka's 101. Heath, you're up.
Yeah, I don't know that we should bet on Puka scoring a lot more touchdowns because he's got Devontae Adams on his team and he hasn't really scored a lot of touchdowns. But I also would have Puka at 101. I'll take Bijan Robinson at 2.
Dave, you're on the clock for 2 picks.
Christian McCaffrey, James Cook.
Whoa. James Cook, already as many 19 carry games this year as he had all of last year. His targets have basically doubled per game. But that is rich. James Cook over Jahmyr Gibbs over Eteinne. What? Let's say that's too high.
You can say it's too high. Where does he rank compared to them in points per game so far?
Well, I can't just draft based on what they've done.
Of course not. But the dude's been amazing. Everything that we were worried about with regression has spit back in our faces. I think it continues. I think.
Well, I think more important than the regression part, because I would still bet on him not scoring at the same rate rest of the season, is just that he's getting the work that he deserves. Hopefully, I think it seems like the Bills may have learned their lesson from the end of last year, and they're going to play their best players.
And by the way, the running back with the most points per game on average in PPR still hasn't been picked yet. Oh, yes, he has.
McCaffrey.
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 I'm an idiot.
You took him.
I literally took him.
Heath, you're up. 5th pick.
This was my 3rd pick, so I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh.
Wow. All right. You've come around.
Well, it's a couple guys had to lose, and it's not Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs. It's everyone else.
So Puka, Bijan, McCaffrey, Cook, St. Brown. Jamie, you're on the clock for 2.
Yeah, I will take Devon Achane with the hopeful bump that he could get without Tyreek Hill there. And then I will say Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So those 2 running backs, I think, have the upside to continue to perform like the way that they have, and even better.
Okay. So we go Puka, Bijan, McCaffrey, James Cook, St. Brown, Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs. Heath, you're up.
So that's my 6 of my top 7 are gone. I'll take my number 7, who is Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Okay. And I had him 11th just because I'm a little concerned about the target volume because they're so run heavy. Dave, you're up with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 9th pick and 10th pick.
So Christian McCaffrey hasn't been taken, right? No, give me Jonathan. I've got 2 picks.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with running backs. Jonathan Taylor and Omarion Hampton.
Ooh.
We got 2 picks left. Is Saquon going to make it? Heath?
Saquon was not in my top 12. Omarion Hampton wasn't either, but I like that. I guess I'm the wide receiver guy. I will take Justin Jefferson.
And Jamie, pick 12?
I'll take CeeDee Lamb. I think when he comes back, he's still going to be that guy. So
Did Jonathan Taylor get left out?
Oh, no, Dave took him.
Yeah, come on, Heath. Pay attention to the draft, man.
I'll recap. Puka, Bijan Robinson, McCaffrey, James Cook, Heath and Jamie. Where would you guys have James Cook? That was Davis' pick at 4.
I would have had him behind Achane and behind
Gibbs.
I've
got him at 10.
I had him at 12. But
wow.
Yeah, I still have Barkley at 7. He's getting 4 targets per game. He's averaging 3.1 yards per carry. I think Barkley, just they'll spike in efficiency. He'll be fine.
So you'd rather have Barkley than Cook?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow.
I don't
know what to say.
I don't know. You don't know what to say? One guy ran for 2,000 yards last year.
Yeah, and now he'll be lucky if he runs for what's his pace right now?
It's not slow. He's played 4 games.
And what's James Cook's pace right now?
Again, I can't make every decision based on what's happened in the first 4 weeks. I'm not saying
okay, but we've got 4 weeks of information and watching football that we can use to help determine how we like these guys rest of season. I think it's a no-brainer that James Cook is a superstar the rest of the season, and I think it's a no-brainer that Saquon's still good, but maybe not as good as where ADP was.
Well, okay, I completely agree. I'm not taking him 2nd or 3rd overall. But I am taking ahead of James Cook, but that's fine. I mean, I get it. They're both. The good thing is they're both getting targets. I think I don't know who I rely on that with more. I don't know. Okay. Sorry. So we had Puka, Bijan, McCaffrey, Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Achane, Gibbs, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jonathan Taylor, Omarion Hampton, who I think has 11 catches in 2 games since the Najee Harris injury, and Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. Let's see who didn't make. The only guy who I had in the top 12 that didn't make the cut was Barkley. Anybody for you that didn't make this group top 12 that you had?
Barkley
I
is
had
the only
Nico
one
at 12.
Nico. Okay.
Pacheco.
There we go. Adam's been feeling it this week with all of his, he's got those great teams with Javonte Williams and Quentin Johnston and Darren Waller on them. And he's
right.
We need to say Pacheco a little more often.
You bring me back down to earth. You actually do all the bragging for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? There's a game coming up on Thursday night, Dave Richard. San Francisco is at the Rams. Couple of good defenses so far. Both defenses are top 8 in yards per play. However, Niners have played only one game without Bosa, so we don't exactly know how good they'll be. Jamie, what's your feel for this game? Is it going to be a good one for fantasy? Going to be a mediocre, bad one? What do you think?
It could be awful if it's Mac Jones, Demarcus Robinson, and Kendrick Bourne as the quarterback and top receivers for San Francisco. So, I mean, McCaffrey better be ready to do a lot of work because it's going to be a lot of attention for him, understandably so. I mean, it'll be that way anyway, but it's just feels like it could be an absolute disaster for San Francisco if that's what they're talking about. And Mac Jones is not 100% either, so he's dealing with a knee injury. So
I think he's actually off the injury report.
Yeah, but I mean,
okay,
he's practicing. I don't know how healthy he is. Put it that way. You know who to start for the Rams. The real question, I think, is can Stafford have a good game? And he's now multiple touchdown passes in 3 straight games. 2 of those games, he's at 298 passing yards or more. He's coming off a 375 in 3 game. You mentioned it. I don't know which San Francisco's defense is going to look like because we saw one game against the Jaguars who don't throw the ball as much as potentially the Rams might in this matchup. And clearly Puka and Devontae Adams should be able to have their way with the secondary, depending on how much Stafford throws. So I think Stafford's a low-end starter. The only real name of prominence that I would start him over, though, is probably Bo Nix. It's one of those weeks where there's a lot of good quarterbacks and with the 4 teams on a bye. So he's not like in my opinion, like a slam dunk must start quarterback, but there is a chance for him to, I think, be in that 22 to 24 point range. So Kyren should do well after what Eteinne just did to this defense. Like San Francisco defense right now is just struggling. So I think it's, start the Rams, usually start Stafford, borderline starter. McCaffrey's the only one I would trust. If we get Pearsall and Jennings playing, then you got to be a little concerned, like how healthy they are. So at best would be low end number 2 receivers.
So let's, yeah. Go ahead.
This is like almost impossible to talk about the 49ers right now because Purdy, Pearsall, Jennings have not practiced all week. Any one of the 3 or all 3 could play. They're not been ruled out also. And so, like, if all 3 of those guys play, you feel a lot different about the 49ers than you do if none of them do.
Absolutely. So let's come back to the Niners and stick with the Rams. Would you start Matthew Stafford? And the Niners have been 4th best in yards per attempt allowed, 5th best in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. But again, no Bosa. Would you start Stafford or Dak Prescott at the Jets?
Dak.
I've got Stafford right now. I will also lower the Rams pass rate if the 49ers don't have 3/4 of their good offensive fantasy players.
Okay, Stafford versus, I think the answer was clear for Jamie, but all of the streaming guys like Tua at Carolina or Bryce Young in that matchup, or Dart versus Rattler, or any other, or Darnold.
I'll take the streamers.
I'll take Stafford.
You'll take all this. You're not high on
all
Stafford.
of them. No. 8 career games against the 49ers. He's had 20-plus fantasy points twice. Only once has he had more than 27 pass attempts and 20-plus fantasy points. It's a great matchup. It's also one where I think we'll see the Rams run the ball a lot. And so I think that Puka and Devontae will get their catches. And maybe I'm a little too low because I don't disagree with Jamie saying that Stafford's a high-end number 2 QB. But I think he's got the same type of upside as a lot of these other streaming quarterbacks, which is living around the 18 to 21 point range.
Okay. So Heath's the highest, Jamie's in the middle, Dave's the lowest on Matthew Stafford. Kyren Williams is RB 16 overall right now. He's not getting as many carries. He's on pace for 289 carries. Last year, he was on pace for 336 carries, but the yards per carry is up to 4.5, which is good, but the touchdowns are down. So should people still treat him as a must start, even though he's RB 16 so far, Kyren?
They should this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any like Javonte Williams or Kyren Williams? Who would you go with?
Javonte against the Jets.
And Javante's top 5 this week. So
I currently have Kyren higher.
Okay. Scadaboo at the Saints or Kyren?
I don't know if I can keep it that way, but I currently have Kyren higher.
Kyren.
Over Scadaboo for sure.
I'll probably move Kyren over Scadaboo. I was shocked that the Giants are underdogs to the Saints.
Oh, we're winning. We're going to win. It's going to be great. We're not going to trade for Tyreek Hill anymore. That was my plan. Start both wide receivers. At this point, where do you have Devontae Adams?
Top 15.
Start him.
Okay. Hasn't been a great matchup so far. They've held Marvin Harrison Jr., Olave, and Brian Thomas Jr. to fewer than 12 points, but Marvin Harrison Jr. could have had a massive game. He had 2 big drops. Sit the Rams tight ends. Let's go to the 49ers. If Brock Purdy plays, he would be what?
Behind the streamers.
Who else is playing besides Brock Purdy?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's easy to sit Purdy if he doesn't have his full complement. But let's say the best case scenario is they all play. I really don't think that's going to happen. But Purdy, Pearsall, Jennings all play. Then what?
I'm starting Brock Purdy.
I like Purdy better than Stafford for sure.
I'd start Stafford over Purdy. I'd start Tua over Purdy. He's clearly dealing with something, and his receivers are dealing with something. Like, how can you expect him to finish the game?
Yeah, and even if he does finish,
did he finish last week's game?
He finished last week's game, but he's worse now than he was. But he also didn't. I think he was asked about whether or not the toe altered his mechanics because he was not good. He was missing high a lot.
Yep.
And he didn't say yes, but he also didn't say no. He's like, maybe. I think he said maybe I have to look at it or something. So he just wasn't good last week.
But his not good. Like the interceptions have been bad. But he's still averaging 8 yards per attempt. And now he's throwing 35. He was 8.1 last week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And now he's throwing 35 plus times a game because they can't run the ball efficiently. So he's played 2 games. He's thrown for 277 yards and 309 yards, and he has 2 touchdowns in both.
They're 9th in pass rate. That is shocking for the 49ers, and it's great.
They can't run.
All right, so start McCaffrey. If Pearsall and Jennings play, do you like them?
No.
If one of them plays, they'll probably be close to 24 for me. If both of them play, they'll both probably be close to 30 for me.
Yeah, they'll be 25 to 36 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, there's 4 teams on a bye, so
it's a terrible week for wide receiver.
It's a terrible year
terrible season
for wide receivers.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And then Kendrick Bourne or Demarcus Robinson. Who do you prefer?
No.
I think Robinson's the dart throw if you want to really take a chance on someone. But yes, the answer is no.
Jake Tongas. Desperation. Thy name is Tongas.
Who was that wide receiver on the 49ers? His last name was James. He had
Richie James.
Richie James.
Remember his Thursday? Was it him? He had that Thursday night game. Let me see. Let me get his game log here.
Good. Stop the show for this.
He had 9 catches for 184 yards on 13 targets. I think that was a Thursday night game for the 49ers. But okay, we're not expecting the Richie James game. And what about Jake Tongas? He's had 5 targets in 2 of the last 3 games. I don't know. He scored 7.1 or more points in 3 or 4 games.
It's true. Touchdown or bust tight end. But if those other guys are out, maybe he sees 6 or 7 targets.
And how do we feel about the DSTs?
Rams
are a must start.
What if they're all healthy? What if Purdy and Pearsall and Jennings play?
Rams.
Because it's a pretty good stream. It's a pretty good waiver wire DST week. I mean, you've got the Cardinals, you've got the Chiefs, you've got the Giants, you've got teams that could be good this week.
Yeah, if I'm trusting the Giants and the Rams are there, I'm trusting the Rams.
Yeah.
What about the Cardinals?
Cardinals number 1 for me.
I would start the Cardinals and the Chiefs over the Rams.
Okay. All right, folks. Most important thing that you should do today is stay up to date on the Bucky Irving situation, because maybe just go pick up Sean Tucker now while it's not too late, and also have a wonderful day and have fun. Be merry. And we'll talk to you tomorrow with Starter Sit for the AFC home games.
Na.